Maryland State Department of Education's Office of Leadership Development and School Improvement is excited to present the Professional Standards of Educational Leaders informational webinar series. This is one of 4 webinars intended to help school leaders and their supervisors understand and use the Professional Standards for Educational Leaders, or PSEL, to improve professional practice and ultimately student outcomes. Hi, I'm Ed Mitzel. I am currently the coordinator of leadership development in the Office of Leadership Development and School Improvement for the Maryland State Department of Education.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Iyer. I am currently a leadership development specialist in the Office of Leadership Development and School Improvement for Maryland State Department of Education. We will be leading the discussion of the professional standards for educational leaders and how they can help inform your practice. The Office of Leadership Development and School Improvement has 3 components that work together toward a common mission for improving leadership and school performance. We provide customized professional learning experiences to support Maryland school leaders. In order to ensure a valid and reliable evaluation process, we work with local school systems to provide training, guidance, and support. Through our customized approach to providing professional learning experiences informed by data, we will improve the quality of education in Maryland schools. Our office partners with the Mid-Atlantic Comprehensive Center to support this work. We would like to introduce you to the Center's Deputy Director, Caitlin Beatson.
Thanks, Ed and Brian, and to you for joining us for this webinar series. In addition to serving as the Deputy Director of the Mid-Atlantic Comprehensive Center, I'm a Senior State Technical Assistant Specialist in the Learning Innovations Program at WestEd, and I primarily support projects that promote equitable access to highly effective teachers and leaders through evaluation and aligned professional learning and coaching. The Mid-Atlantic Comprehensive Center at WestEd, or MAC, is part of a federally funded network of 22 technical assistance centers comprised of 15 regional centers like ours that serve individual or clusters of states, and 7 national content centers providing expertise and services in specific high-priority areas. As a regional comprehensive center, the MAC works closely with state education agencies, or SEAs, in the Mid-Atlantic region, including Maryland, to establish and support the administration of programs related to federal requirements of the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, strengthen SEA organizational capacity to implement, support, scale up, and sustain statewide initiatives, build SEA leadership capacity to lead and support their LEAs in schools in improving student outcomes, and assist SEA leadership in utilizing research-based information and strategies in education reform work.
A bit about this webinar series. The sessions not only provide a high-level introduction to the 10 PSEL, but also begin to standardize the associated vocabulary and performance expectations through examples and evidence of effective practices. The series also provides foundational information upon which other future professional learning experiences from the Office of Leadership Development and School Improvement will build. The visual here demonstrates how the 10 standards are clustered, and thus how the sessions are organized. Part 1 addresses Standard 1, Mission, Vision, and Core Values. Standard 2, Ethics and Professional Norms, and Standard 3, Equity and Cultural Responsiveness, which are referred to as the drivers. Part 2 addresses Standards 4, Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, and 5, Community of Care and Support for Students. This is what we do and how we do it. These standards represent the core. Part 3 addresses Standard 6, Professional Capacity of School Personnel, 7, Professional Community for Teachers and Staff, 8, Meaningful Engagement of Families and Communities, and 9, Operations and Management. These standards align the needs of the various components in your school in order for student learning to occur. These 4 standards are referred to as the supports. Part 4 addresses Standard 10, School Improvement. This standard stands alone in importance because it provides us with the end goal of student achievement. This standard is referred to as the anchor. These 4 webinar sessions may be viewed in any order, and within each, we'll identify the cluster, unpack each standard, provide pieces of evidence, share quotes from Maryland colleagues, and allow time for reflection. Each webinar begins with the background on the PSEL and an overview of one of the 4 clusters of standards, including a description of each related standard. The overview is followed by a focus on one of the clusters, reviewing each of the component standards and providing illustrations of practice as reflected in the Maryland PSEL evaluation rubric. Each webinar session also features quotes from Maryland school leaders talking about their own professional practice and an opportunity for you to reflect on your practice related to these specific standards. A quick reminder, this webinar series provides only an initial overview of the PSEL and is just one of the supports the MSDE will provide. This webinar series serves as a foundation to the professional learning experiences that will be developed and provided in the future. To promote engagement throughout the series and to document participation, you'll be prompted to respond to reflection questions at various points during the sessions. When you registered for the webinar, you were provided a Word document, which you can use to record your responses for submission to the MSDE. Completion and submission of this form is required for participants in the 2018-19 Promising Principals Academy and the 2018-19 Leading for School Improvement Institute if you plan to pursue continuing professional development credits. We encourage you to keep the form open in a separate window as you watch the webinar for easy access, as time for responding is provided throughout. Or you can print the form and handwrite notes and input your responses afterward. We also recommend opening a copy of Maryland's PSEL rubric for reference throughout the session.
Our work in the Office of Leadership Development and School Improvement is grounded in the professional standards for educational leaders, which were adopted by the Maryland State Board of Education in 2017. These standards shine a spotlight on each student's academic success and well-being, and were used to develop our principal evaluation rubric and guide administrator preparation programs at institutions of higher learning. The PSEL are organized around the clusters of leadership work that research and practice indicate contribute to students' academic success and well-being. In practice, these clusters don't function independently. Instead, they work in concert to comprise a system intended to propel student success. The first cluster, or the drivers, consists of standards 1, 2, and 3, which address the mission, vision, and core values, as well as a commitment to ethics and equity. The second cluster, or the core, consists of standards 4 and 5, which encompass leadership for the curriculum, instruction, assessment, and student support systems in the school. The third cluster, or the supports, consists of standards 6, 7, 8, and 9, which address building staff capacity, family and community engagement, and school operations. Standard 10 is considered to be the anchor for all of the domains and the standards they represent in the PSEL framework. This anchor encompasses the work that school leaders do to ensure that continuous improvement systems are effective in promoting each student's academic success and well-being. The Office of Leadership Development and School Improvement worked with a wide range of stakeholders from across the state, including the Community Training and Assistance Center, educational leaders from Maryland school systems, and administrator preparation faculty from Maryland institutions of higher education to develop a rubric for the professional practice measure of the evaluation. This rubric connects school leader professional practice to the PSEL and identifies the traits of each performance level across a continuum from highly effective, effective, developing, and ineffective school leaders. The rubric is a resource to inform professional learning experiences for school-based administrators that will elevate their professional practice by identifying areas of promise and opportunities for growth within each standard. The rubric provides a common language and clear expectations of a highly effective, developing, and ineffective school leader. The rubric can be used to support growth among principals as they move from developing to effective to highly effective. Principal supervisors can use the tool to customize professional learning and support as they move along the continuum from developing to highly effective. Each bullet is a descriptor within the performance level that explains the professional practice for that level. The lowercase letters found in parentheses show specific alignment to the elements of that standard in the professional standards for educational leaders. For each standard, the highly effective category embodies all of the descriptors of the effective category, as well as the additional descriptors in the highly effective category. Evaluators will assess school leaders on each standard by assigning a rating based on their level of performance: highly effective, effective, developing, and ineffective. A highly effective school leader spreads their knowledge beyond the school building. Their practices significantly improve student outcomes. Student achievement often exceeds student growth targets. Performance at this level may impact the school system, state, or on the national level. An effective school leader consistently implements effective practices that translate into improved student outcomes. Their practice frequently meets student growth targets. Performance at this level fosters robust collaboration and data analysis to establish a track record of student and school success. A developing school leader works to implement effective practices. Leaders at this level may be new to the school or new to the role. Their leadership practice makes strides, although not yet making consistent results. Performance at this level includes actions and efforts made towards promising outcomes, though outcomes for staff and students are not regularly achieved. An ineffective school leader is aware of effective practices, but inconsistently implements them with little to no student outcomes. Their leadership practice requires significant improvement through targeted intervention.
In this section, we'll transition to focusing on one of the P-cell clusters, describing the related standards in detail and identifying indicators and evidence of effective and highly effective performance. We'll share examples of practical application and evidence.
This session will focus on the supports cluster. The supports focus on school leaders' practice in developing staff capacity and building and managing productive relationships with families and community. We'll describe each of the standards within this cluster in detail, noting how those standards translate to practice. Specifically, each standard is comprised of a set of indicators that elaborate the work. The P-cell rubric further distinguishes these indicators by levels of effectiveness. Beginning with the description of Standard 6, school leaders must develop the professional capacity and practice of school personnel to promote the academic success and well-being of each student. And to accomplish this, they must recruit, hire, and support effective and caring teachers and other professional staff. School leaders must develop teachers and staff members' professional knowledge, skills, and practice to foster the continuous improvement of individual and collective instructional capacity. And it's essential to promote the personal and professional health, well-being, and work-life balance of faculty and staff. What will be shown here are the descriptors of effective practice for Standard 6, which can also be viewed on page 12 of the P-cell rubric. Generally, effective school leaders move from an awareness of the elements to implementation of effective practices that translate into improved student outcomes, and those effective leadership practices produce desired and consistent results. Effective practices for Standard 6 include the elements of a developing school leader, as well as the 7 additional descriptors I'll present here. The first descriptor, the school leader must recruit, hire, and develop staff. Second, establish performance expectations for all staff. Third, create, implement, and evaluate a plan for staff turnover and succession. Fourth, implement strategies to foster professional growth for all staff. Fifth, provide differentiated, job-embedded professional learning experiences. Sixth, use the observation and evaluation process to communicate feedback to assistant principals, teachers, and other staff. And the last descriptor, the school leader uses data to inform a plan for professional growth of all staff members. At the next level, the highly effective school leader influences professional learning experiences for the school system, state, or professional organizations. They demonstrate sustained high levels of student academic growth and achievement. Evidence of effective practice for Standard 6 includes developing the professional capacity of school personnel to promote each student's academic success and well-being. Some samples of evidence will be listed in the 2 bulleted items here. The first example, the school leader manages the turnover and succession of staff by providing professional learning opportunities for new personnel. Documented evidence could include training documents from those professional learning experiences. Another example is job-embedded professional learning that is differentiated for all staff. Documented evidence could include feedback surveys and observation data. Let's take a moment now to reflect on Standard 6, using the guided questions on the first page of the corresponding Word document. You can pause the webinar now to input your responses there, and then when you're ready to continue the session, just press play. Now shifting to Standard 7, which calls for educational leaders to foster a professional community of teachers and other professional staff to promote the academic success and well-being of all students. To accomplish this, they must build and maintain a safe, caring, and healthy school environment. What I'll show here are the indicators of effective practice for Standard 7, which can also be viewed on page 13 of the PSEL rubric. As with Standard 6 and the remaining standards, effective school leaders move from that awareness level to implementing effective practices that translate into improved student outcomes, producing desired and consistent results. Effective practices for Standard 7, as with Standard 6, include the elements of a developing school leader as well as the 6 additional bulleted items that will be presented here. First, the school leader establishes workplace conditions for staff that promote professional learning. Second, uses data on staff perceptions of school practice to identify areas for school growth. Third, uses distributed leadership for the advancement of student learning. Fourth, provides opportunities and structures for staff to learn from each other. Fifth, provides structures for staff to reflect on student and school-wide progress. And finally, interacts with staff in a way that reflects trust, transparency, and positive intentions. Again, I'll share the next level. The highly effective school leader leverages staff expertise to design and lead professional learning experiences at the school, school system, or state level. School staff may also actively participate in and contribute to professional organizations or communities of practice in alignment with school goals. Evidence of effective practice for Standard 7 should demonstrate a school environment that is inclusive and supports the success and well-being of all staff. Some samples of evidence will be listed here. One example is that the school leader creates a school community that supports professional learning and sound instructional practices that promote student growth. A second example, collaborative teams are established to encourage continuous improvement and development of the professional growth of all staff. We'll pause again here for reflection on Standard 7. You can pause the webinar now to input your responses on the second page of the corresponding Word document. And when you're ready to continue the session, press play. Standard 8 calls for educational leaders to engage families and the community in meaningful and mutually beneficial ways to promote the academic success and well-being of all students. To accomplish this, they must build and maintain a safe, caring, and collaborative school environment that engages families and community. Here, I'll share the indicators of effective practice for Standard 8, which can also be viewed on page 14 of the PSEL rubric. As with the previous standards, effective school leaders move from awareness to implementation of effective practices that translate into improved student outcomes, producing desired and consistent results. Effective practices for Standard 8, as with the previously discussed standards, include the elements of a developing school leader, as well as the 8 additional bulleted items that will be presented here. First, the effective school leader establishes a network of partners and community resources to promote student achievement. Second, she or he facilitates continuous engagement of families and community members to support student learning. Third, employs a variety of communication strategies to engage stakeholders. Fourth, regularly engages with families and community members. Fifth, she or he participates in community events to develop a relationship with families and community members. Sixth, creates reciprocal opportunities for collaboration and partnerships with all stakeholders. Seventh, builds productive partnerships to promote school improvement. And finally, She or he advocates on behalf of the school system for the need for family and community support. Again, I'll share the next level. The highly effective school leader helps to demonstrate sustained partnerships with positive results on student achievement. She or he may provide support to other school leaders at the school system or state level to engage families and community members. Evidence of effective practice for Standard 8 should demonstrate meaningful engagement of families and community. Some samples of evidence will be listed here. The first example, the school leader encourages active participation from families and community members in the learning process, including attendance at events, school improvement team meetings, and parent conferences. A second example, she or he uses varied and effective communication strategies to inform and involve families and community members in active engagement in support of student learning. We'll pause here for reflection on Standard 8. You can pause the webinar now to input your responses on the third page of the corresponding Word document. And when you're ready to continue the session, press play. Standard 9, the last within the supports cluster, calls for educational leaders to manage school operations and resources to promote the academic success and well-being of all students. To accomplish this, she or he must strategically allocate resources to achieve the school's goals that meet academic and social-emotional needs of each student. I'll show here the indicators of effective practice for Standard 9, which can also be viewed on page 15 of the PSEL rubric. As with the previous standards, effective school leaders move from that awareness level to implementing effective practices that translate into improved student outcomes, producing desired and consistent results. Effective practices for Standard 9, as with Standards 6, 7, and 8, include the elements of a developing school leader, as well as the 9 additional bulleted items I'll share here. First, the effective school leader advocates for and acquires resources to meet the needs of staff and students. Second, establishes and implements systems to monitor and evaluate management of school resources. Third, creates a school schedule to optimize staff professional capacity to meet students' learning needs. Fourth, emphasizes the importance of instructional time for students and planning time for teachers. Fifth, adheres to fair and equitable conflict resolution practices. Sixth, she or he demonstrates ethical and responsible fiscal management. Seventh, employs technology to improve communication and monitoring of school outcomes. Eighth, builds community awareness of local, state, and federal policies to promote student success. And lastly, develops and manages productive relationships with central office and support staff to promote student learning. Again, I'll share the next level. The highly effective school leader demonstrates sustained improved operational efficiency. She or he may lead professional learning experiences, publish reports, articles, or blogs, even engage in public speaking events for professional organizations to share their improved teaching and learning outcomes resulting from strategic operational management. Evidence of effective practice for Standard 9 should demonstrate responsible management of school operations and resources to promote each student's academic success and well-being. Some samples of evidence will be listed here. The first example, the school leader allocates all resources, including financial, material, time, and personnel, to promote academic success of all students. Documented evidence includes school budgets, school improvement plans, evidence of school grants, and partnerships. A second example, compliance with all local, state, and federal laws, policies, and regulations. And a third example, development and implementation of effective use guidelines for technology for all members of the school community. We'll pause now for reflection on Standard 9. You can pause the webinar to input your responses on the fourth page of the corresponding Word document. And when you're ready to continue the session, press play. Now we'll share some insights from other school leaders, your current practitioner colleagues from across the state. Dr. Dale from the Howard County Public School System shared how his professional practice related to Standard 6, professional capacity of school personnel, supports the academic success and well-being of all students.
We have developed a strong mentor-teacher program that is supported by the Math Instructional Support Teacher and Teacher Development Liaison. We have developed a master schedule that provides 2 opportunities a week for content area teachers to meet and discuss various instructional topics, such as formative assessment, high-leverage instructional strategies, and differentiation. In addition, our TDL meets with new and veteran teachers to conduct a deep dive into the Danielson evaluation model to ensure teachers have a clear understanding of the expectations. We partner with all content area supervisors to conduct informal walkthroughs in an effort to highlight exemplary practices and identify areas for future professional learning experiences. We are in our first year of implementing professional learning communities to allow for ample time to analyze data from various sources, plan for differentiated instruction, and plan for lessons aligned to Maryland's college and career-ready standards.
Dr. Ford from Baltimore City Public Schools shares his thoughts on effective practices for both Standards 8 and 9.
Our work at BSA is highly entrepreneurial. We value the resources in our community, human, physical, and fiscal, and seek to leverage those resources for maximum effectiveness in our work with young people. To effectively function in an entrepreneurial environment, one must consider challenges thoughtfully, be aware of opportunities, develop broad and deep trust with collaborators, and see projects through to successful conclusions. We manage our resources to effectively lead the school community and align with our mission, vision, and core values.
We'll pause again here for reflection. Based on these two voices from Maryland leaders, think about what you do in your professional practice that's aligned to the supports, Standards 6, 7, 8, and 9. You can pause the webinar now to record your responses on the Word document. When you're ready to continue the session, press play.
This webinar provides a cursory glance at the standards, and there are many more opportunities for you to further explore them as they relate to improving professional practice. In this final section, we'll share specific information about guidance and resources available on the MSDE website and upcoming in-person professional learning experiences. We'll also share next steps for submitting documentation of your participation in this session. Our Office of Leadership Development and School Improvement web link is provided here. Check out the site at marylandpublicschools.org, as well as the Maryland Resource Hub at marylandresourcehub.com. To navigate to other parts of this webinar series, access the PSEL rubric and locate more detailed information about upcoming professional learning opportunities. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us with questions. We've included our contact information. My name is Ed Mitzel, Coordinator of Leadership Development, and you can contact me by email at edmund.mitzel@maryland.gov. And I can be reached by phone at 410-767-0348. And my colleague, Dr. Brian Iyer, who is a Leadership Development Specialist, can be reached at brian.eyer@maryland.gov or by phone at 410-767-0725.